It's crazy.
This is quarantine.
It's a crazy time. It's a lot longer than I think anybody expected.
Of course, but
I think we're learning to cope with it in a new way, which is cool.
Yeah, I know that things are starting to come back, and this sport that we're associated with, I hope, will follow the lead of. We're going to follow all these other sports people and what they're doing, and they're trying right now. So,
I just think the large group. I mean, obviously we had to cancel the season, postpone it for a while, and cancel it. But I feel like now that we're kind of moved on to the next season,
right.
That's obviously the best scenario for everybody. I know that wasn't good for last season. That's a tough way to end the season, but I think it was smart to kind of move on.
Yeah.
Now we can get back to the gym setting, and get back to small group training, and get back to starting the season over. And that's going to be the safest thing for now.
Right.
And then let's just cross our fingers for next season that things get back to what we know is normal.
Well, speaking of that, doing what you do for a living, I mean, you have your hands in all different aspects of cheerleading at this point. I mean, you do choreography and stunt building and camps, skill stuff during the summer. You work at Woodward during the summer. During the competition season, you work the music boards and the light boards. Am I saying that right?
It's production.
Production. So you during the year you have different things that you do.
Right.
And right now, all of them are up in the air. I'm sure that your summer business has. Tell me what is going on with as much as you.
Sure. So this all came about mid-March. We were in the middle of event season, so I was a production guy, announcer, DJ, lighting, sound, all that fun stuff. Events took a hold. They rescheduled them for later, and then we thought they were going to maybe potentially come back. Obviously, they got canceled due to all this, so half the season was gone. Right now is normally trout season and getting ready for all that. Normally we would have Worlds and D1 and D2 Summit, and now we get back into skills camps. So it would be right now yesterday was supposed to be my first day in Australia, which obviously was canceled.
Sorry.
Yeah. I was going to be over there for a couple of weeks working with the gym in Brisbane. Great friends and great people, but unfortunately couldn't do it. And then I would normally start skills camps here in the States June 1st. And June, July, August, most of September, be doing that with different gyms. And right now we know June is pretty much moving later. We're hoping July can get back to normal, but that still is a wishful thinking. So I'm hoping for my personal self is that July moves later and everybody just moves later, and maybe my season goes July, August, September, even October if it needs to get to work with the customers I normally have and the things I normally can accomplish just at a later date.
Yeah.
And so right now I'm technically unemployed, which is a scary thought.
Of course.
It's the first time since Georgia Southern, 95, 96.
Is that the last time? Yeah.
Which is scary to think that I don't have control over it.
Yeah.
I've been, worked with gyms and worked as a gym, have owned gyms, have worked for some very known gyms as well. I get to travel and do some fun stuff, but to not have control is the craziest part right now.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a vacation.
They can only last so long.
But the vacation has an endpoint, and then you come back to normal. The fact that you don't have to come back to normal point is scary.
Yeah.
This has been middle of March, this is middle of April. You're talking May, June, potentially July, 3 more months. It's scary to think that work is non-existent.
It's not there, right.
So when this whole thing started, I'm a pretty go get it done kind of person. The week after this whole thing took place, I got a job at a grocery store. Instead of being reactive, I was proactive and said, what's not going to close? Grocery stores. Okay, great. Yeah. So I'm part-time frontlining it, grocery store guy.
Well, you're essential.
I'm essential, but it's rewarding work. It's been great. The community's been great. It's a grocery store right, close to my mom's house, and it's been awesome, but it's just not normal, So, but as far as the cheer world goes, everything's on hold.
Yeah, the way I thought about it earlier today when I was thinking about you is that. And all the other choreographers in this business and the people that do that for their living at certain times of the year. You know, you do your certain things in the summer. You do certain things during the season,
Right.
or during the actual competing season. But you know, all these teams are going to need routines. All these teams are going to need those same things. You would hope that it just gets pushed back a little bit. That's the only thing.
Well, that's the hope right now. But unfortunately, by state, you know, I'm lucky enough to work with teams in many different states. And some of the northern states look like they're not even going back to school in the fall. And then here we are sitting in Georgia that's trying to get back to normal. You know, so it's crazy to be part of the change. You know what I mean? Like some states are doing it, some states are not. Some states are getting back to, you know, trying to get back to, you know, phase 1, 2, 3. Some are still completely shut down.
Yeah.
You know, so it's crazy to see that. Obviously, it's based on how this thing has affected that area, but it's crazy to see how it's affecting gyms
Yeah.
and all these athletes. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about the kids and what this means to them. This is why we all got in it.
Yeah.
That's why we got in it as athletes.
Right.
We enjoyed it. It locked us in, and here we are 25 years later. 20.
Speak for yourself.
I'm still 25, so it's perfect.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, you started when you were born. Yeah, I know that California, they announced that they're at least until, I think that they're set through August.
Yeah. They're
And that they already have canceled classes in the fall at all of California state colleges or whatever, you know, University of California things, and you know, talking about how that's gonna, you know, the football situation, that's a whole other.
Oh my
we could go
gosh!
on for days
The fact
like
that college football may not happen
Yeah, that's what they
in the
said.
Southeast, that's a scary.
You know what though? But here's the deal. I don't believe that. I believe that will happen.
But it all is based on school. If the kids can't, if
There's
the
gonna be
athletes can't get back before school to train
Yeah.
and be conditioned and be safe, let's be honest, that's part of the reason why the cheer season ended the way it did. Because if kids aren't training the way they did, it's not safe for them to compete.
Right.
Cheerleading, football, whatever it is.
All the same.
So if football athletes can't get back to school to train and do the things they need to get ready, they're not going to host football games. You know, so it's a scary thought to think that some of that may not take place due to all this. So
yeah, so all your jobs have been just pushed back. Is that what you're telling me? That
yeah, I mean everything now's on hold.
It's on hold.
To be honest with you, I have no answers. I mean, I have a couple clients that are like, yes, we're doing these dates, but yet they still haven't been clear for those dates. So it's like, yes, they're planning,
Right.
but as far as working, I couldn't tell you the next time I'm going to be on the road doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, like I said, usually it's end of May, early June, where I start doing those things right when tryouts are happening. And the fact that my June calendar is technically empty with some wishful thinking dates on them.
Right.
June.
When is the times that you normally do Woodward?
I usually do that later July or August.
Is that have they canceled all the camps, or are they set up?
They have canceled the first.
Tentativeness. Right
Well,
now?
they've canceled the first few weeks, taking those athletes and tried to move them in the later weeks.
Okay.
So they still, I'm not sure, have been cleared for the later dates, but that's you got to kind of move them in phases. Right now, the later, I want to say half or more of the summer is on, and so they're going to just make those weeks bigger and find a way to accommodate and make sure those athletes get the experience they deserve. And like I said, I was lucky this year to be scheduled later in the summer. Some summers I might be earlier. The last few years I've been a little bit later in the summer just due to some of the clients I have in the area. But I'm up there week 9 this year, which is middle of August, maybe early August, somewhere in there. So we're hoping that they get cleared and whatever. But being in
Pennsylvania, that you got to go on. That's what's going to happen there. Yeah.
You know, they're still in lockdown, so it's a little slower in the opening of the process. So we're hoping that all lifts and does the things. But you know, Woodward's been part of I won't miss that week or two whenever I get to work ever. It's a special place. It's a crazy, unique connection that you have with those kids in that environment.
Right.
And it's obviously one of the best environments you can have in the cheer, tumbling, camp world. So let's just hope it happens, because there's gonna be a little hole of me. That's not
and for a lot of people too. I mean, I see what goes on up there, and I see what the kids that we have that come through our gym. you know, not saying they come back with any, I'm not even saying it like that, but I know that the experience that they have at that place is.
I've actually worked with a couple of gyms out of your athlete, or athletes at your gym. Sorry.
Yeah, they seem like they have a great time, and that's what camp's for.
Well, let's be honest, it's a summer camp.
Right.
That happened to have tumbling
right,
facilities, you know, so it's a summer camp overall, and that's, you know, I think in today's age, that connection of doing things and kind of getting out of your comfort zone has been lost, you know, with the instant society of phones and all the social medias. Camp, putting that phone down and going to do things is
do they have to leave their phone in their bunks or whatever?
No, they
get
take it with them, but it's, you know,
Yeah.
during training times and during stuff, you know, it's their focus, which is great.
You wonder, yeah, I wondered that if they get to just carry them around. You know,
I would love, I mean, listen,
all the time.
teams I was training with, I'm saying, put your phone up. You don't need it on water breaks.
No.
You can sacrifice 2 hours of your time to focus.
I remember I used to have the worst issue with these kids when I coached at Icon. And I remember I had to, nothing wrong with the kids, just saying the phone things and the breaks that I had to. I remember this one time I took a picture on the railing, and I labeled it phone parking lot.
Yep. Because you do phone jail with a box.
Just lined up. All right, they have to sit right here. This is.
It's 2 hours, maybe 4 hours a week, something of the sort.
Yeah.
Like, focus. So it's a crazy society. We all do it. I mean, we all check it every few minutes, every day.